Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Daily Football Roundup proudly brings to you the best damn podcast in the world, the 12-Ounce Curl Route Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Current. You can find me on Twitter or X at Aaron Current. My co-host, Kyle, can be found there at DF Roundup. And my co-host, Corey, does not have that app. What's going on, fellas? How are we doing this week?
Super Bowl weekend. Woo.
Super Bowl weekend, Super Bowl shuffling.
We have a meaningful game this week. Not to say that the Pro Bowl skills or the Pro Bowl games wasn't exciting, but a lot of players bowed out of that. And, there's a lot of players that were in the Pro Bowl that probably shouldn't have been in the Pro Bowl. And I think Eli beat older brother Peyton through all that. But
Jalen Johnson with a game-sealing pass breakup in the end zone in the Pro Bowl to win it for the NFC.
Yeah, I didn't watch that much.
I saw that because I'm a Bears fan and it was all over everything.
Yeah, I did not watch. I did not partake.
Well, I mean, there were no Packers in the Pro Bowl. I don't know how many Patriots got in.
How's there not a Packer?
Kenny Clark was there.
Voted in. Maybe there was an alternate. I don't know. Kyle, was there?
There wasn't one voted in. We had one All-Pro, and then we blew out the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round, and then we had the San Francisco 49ers on the ropes for, 55 minutes of the divisional round game? So
about playoffs. What are these
playoffs? Playoffs? You want to talk about playoffs?
Last time my team made the playoffs, they missed a field goal. So double doink. It hurts. It still hurts.
Not one, two doinks. That is a prop bet that I did not put on here, by the way.
I would have stayed away from it too. I mean, we'll get into the prop bets a little bit, but I had to Google a prop bet because I was very confused when I saw it. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. My buddy Jake is in the chat. He says it's a good Wednesday. Absolutely. Getting real fired up for Super Bowl Swifty 8. Yeah. I'm going to keep saying it till it sticks. That's what I'm talking about. Do you guys just want to hop right in? I guess we got to talk about this. We had a coaching hire. The final coach was hired this week, head coach, that is. So this is a list of all the coaching changes or hirings. Yeah. The Las Vegas Raiders stuck with Antonio Pierce, who was the interim head coach and had them playing pretty well, decently, I guess, for the talent that he has. Brian Callahan, the Cincinnati offensive coordinator, heads down to Nashville to head coach the Tennessee Titans and my boy Will Levis.
And he did go ahead and hire his dad too.
Yeah. We had talked about that when they hired him, that it was possible.
Yep.
New England Patriots stuck with Gerard Mayo, the former linebacker of the Patriots, following the footsteps of William Belichick. The Los Angeles Chargers hire Jim Harbaugh. Atlanta Falcons hire Raheem Morris, the Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator. The Carolina Panthers hire Dave Canellis, the Tampa Bay OC. The Seattle Seahawks hired Mike McDonald, the Baltimore DC. And this week, the Washington Commanders hired Dan Quinn, former Dallas defensive coordinator, heads to Washington, to our nation's capital, to be to give it another shot at the head coaching gig. I saw a quote this week that said he was not bringing back who was the OC there last year?
Eric Bieniemy.
That one, yeah. So it'll be a whole new staff in Washington. I like the hire, and we talked a little bit about it last week, about it making quite a bit of sense for them to head in that direction. They did, however, hire Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator. So, Chicago is all talking about, hey, what's it going to cost them to move up one spot to come get his boy, Caleb Williams, in the draft, because they are drafting second overall, and Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator at USC last year. So they're talking continuity. If the Bears aren't in love with Caleb Williams, what's it going to cost them? I don't know. But that wraps up the head coaching hirings. We still have position coaches getting hired and stuff. I think we talked last week about the Boston College head coach going to be the defensive coordinator of the Packers, Kyle. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator of Kentucky, is going to Tampa Bay to take Dave Canales' spot as Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator under a defensive-minded head coach. A lot of Kentucky fans are upset, but honestly, I think there was talks of it leading to Nick Saban leaving and everything. I just think these college coaches having to recruit all offseason new players as well as their current players to try and get them to stay put with the transfer portal the way it is, and NIL being the wild, wild west until somebody gets a hold on it. It's just a wild world in college football, and I don't blame the guy for leaving. He did say when he came last year that he would be putting down roots in Lexington and staying multiple years, so that was a lie. But I understand the move. Corey, what are your thoughts of um, Dan Quinn taking this gig, and then if you want to speak on Liam Cohen a little?
We talked about it last week for Dan Quinn. This would be a good hire, and I think where he's such a defensive coach, the Cliff Kingsbury thing is a fantastic hire. Who was, I guess, going to go to the Raiders and decided not to. Not sure how true all that was. Obviously, the rumor mill now is that's Caleb Williams' coach. Whatever. I don't think it matters. I think at the end of the day, Cliff Kingsbury, I think, is a pretty good offensive coach. So if it's Drake May or Caleb Williams, whoever, I mean, I think they're going to have to give up too much to move up to one. And as far as Cohen goes, like I'm kind of pissed about it. I'm sure his wife's pissed about it because she likes Lexington.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just think it was kind of shitty that it was so late.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard keeping up with all the, the NIL stuff. Obviously, they're going to have to regulate that somehow, get it in a better form. But my favorite tweet today, or it was like an X or whatever. It was a screenshot on Facebook, so it actually went on X. But it was, but it was some guy. It was some guy that showed. I think it was Carson Beck, the quarterback for Ohio State, buying a Lamborghini, and the comment below that said, "Somebody better give Reggie Bush's freaking Heisman back."
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Like I said, it is the Wild West. I know Rick Pitino came out and said something about a salary cap in college sports, which I think makes sense. But in order for them to do that, they have to recognize these players as employees of said college. And I don't know the ins and outs of all the laws that would have to go into that and stuff and everything. But I mean, it makes sense if you got guys because Caleb Williams has a penthouse at USC and a really nice car. I think it might have been a Lamborghini as well as a college kid. So these kids are obviously making a killing, and I don't hate them for it. I mean, I know when NIL came, I was happy for them to get recognition and get a little bit of pay, but I thought it was going to be like getting paid for their autograph or getting paid to sell T-shirts. I didn't expect Lamborghinis and trucks. And so, like, there's one team, I think it was BYU or maybe a Utah school, gave the entire football team F-150s or F-250s. Like,
nice.
I mean, I'm sure there's paperwork that has to be signed to get a vehicle. So, I mean, technically they're getting paid for their autograph, right?
Yeah,
because they're signing on the dotted line there. But if they don't get the NIL stuff under control, these kids, the only reason a lot of these kids go to college is because they have to go to college and play ball in order to make it to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a league that comes up, that I know the UFL, I don't believe allows, or maybe they do, but I don't know if they allow kids straight from high school to play in that league. But as soon as you have a league that's dedicated to those, 17, 18 to 20, 21-year-olds, that they don't have to go to college and they're making the money that they're going to be making going and playing college ball, then we may see the end of college football.
I don't know if you'll see the end of it. I mean, college basketball is kind of like that. They can go straight to the G League or play overseas. And I mean, some of those kids are still making more money if they go play a year in college before they go to the draft. Um, I just, I don't ever see. I mean, things will have to change, and they'll have to make rules and regulations.
I did see where I didn't read the article, but I did see where the SEC and the Big Ten have combined to make this strategic committee or something for football. I think football should be its own animal. We've talked about this before. If you're going to do the Power Five, do the Power Five. At this point, you should almost have 2 championships now: Power Five and everybody else. And I know it's kind of shitty for the other teams, but we're going to watch the first 2 years, so the first year of the playoffs, we're going to see Liberty and Tulane get just steamrolled by Georgia and Michigan.
I kind of want to see it though. I mean, UCF a few years ago, they had their undefeated season and they like hung a banner because they finished undefeated. Yeah. Like, I want to see them go toe to toe with Georgia, go toe to toe with Alabama. Boise State back in the day actually pulled off a victory against Oklahoma in a big bowl game. I know they may get steamrolled, but you never know what might happen. You never know what might come out of one of those games. And in order to really have bragging rights, I like that it's going to 12 teams. I think this year, I look for it to expand even more, probably to 16. I think. But Kyle, I cut you off there if you wanted to.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, just for me, like you're seeing these head coaches in college football start going to the NFL. We've never really seen that before. You don't see a head coach in college ball go be a defensive coordinator for an organization. You don't see Chip Kelly trying to become an offensive coordinator in the NFL. But it's happening because these head coaches are no longer head coaches in the NCAA. They are general managers. They now have to try to put this roster together, and they are the Bill Belichick of college football now. Mm-hmm. They're the head coach and they're the general manager. And until you can get somebody in that spot as that, general manager or whatever you want to call it, and let these head coaches get back to being head coaches, we're going to continue to see these guys try to position themselves to leave for the NFL.
I wonder if athletic directors will maybe hire assistant athletic directors for each sport that can handle that kind of stuff, the ins and outs, the monies, because from what I understand, Georgia and Alabama, and Michigan, schools like that obviously have more NIL funds available to them because they have bigger boosters, more donors, and stuff like that. So they're able to pay more guys, but like Kentucky's picked up Georgia's backup quarterback, one of their linebackers. There's rumors that they're going to grab their quarterback coach to be their new OC. But those guys that are in the back of the roster that aren't really making all that NIL money, they can say, okay, well, I can go over here, like Kentucky, still be in the SEC and play at this level and not have to worry about, which that comes into something else. Tyrann Mathieu talked about waiting his turn at LSU behind Patrick Peterson and all those guys where they don't have to wait anymore. They can go somewhere else and get this playing time. And maybe that's not great for college football, but yeah, I mean, bottom line is they got to get a handle on it, because if you're losing head coaches to coordinator positions, obviously there's a problem with your current system, and NCAA is just really sitting on their hands with this. They're really slow to do anything. And right. Absolutely. One of the most corrupt organizations in sports. And they just kind of are, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like Ricky Bobby. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we talked about most of these coaches as they were getting hired. So I just wanted to touch on Dan Quinn before we moved on to the main event, the big show, the big game, as they keep calling it.
Before we move on to the big game, the big show, I've got to throw a shout out to my boy Thomas Torch, who comes in week after week, throws us a hooday, sticks around for a minute or two, I would imagine, and then goes on about his day. But I feel like we've seen hooday for probably 25, 26 consistent weeks. But I gotta shout him out. I had to do that.
I mean, that's great. Actually, we spoke about this off
Sorry.
air, but we're gonna next year. Like we had a good success that week with Matt Sweet coming on and picking games. So next year for the 6-pack challenge, we will actually have a guest on each week. So maybe Thomas Torch can come through and pick some games for us.
There you go.
One of
He'll
those
take
weeks.
the Bengals -10 no matter who they're playing. I'm sure.
I'm sure he will. But that's what fandom does to us. I mean, thank you. I appreciate it, Thomas.
Thanks, sir.
But we'll hop right into Super Bowl 58. By the way, I saw these Roman numerals, and can we stop with the Roman numerals? The Super Bowl was never played in ancient Rome. There's no reason to use Roman numerals on this, and I have to do math to try and figure out what freaking Super Bowl we're on.
It's not that difficult. It's just not.
It just doesn't make
sense. There's so
sense.
many. I know.
What's the reason behind it?
What's funny is Corey says it's not that difficult because he's still living in ancient times.
That's right.
And doesn't
His watch
have
is probably all
exactly.
Roman
Yeah,
numerals.
it's not that hard to understand, Aaron.
My sundial tells me what time it is every day.
I mean, especially for the rest of the ones that we have, probably for the rest of our lives. Like, it's pretty easy, guys. Like, next year is going to be LIX. Not hard.
I had to Google what number Super Bowl this was about 20 minutes ago. So
LV,
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
They definitely had to change the 50 though, because it would have just been an L. That'd have been weird. That's why they made it 50.
Well, I think they should just go with regular numbers. It's not like on the scoreboard they have Roman numerals, and again, it's an American sport. It's not like it was a Roman sport that we adopted and pushed. I don't even understand why we use Roman numerals. I guess Google probably knows, but
it was just the Clash of Titans and that, all that type of stuff. Now, I will say Super Bowl 88 is going to be aggressive because it's going to have 8 characters. It's going to be like this long. It's going to be LXXVIII.
They're probably just going to go to regular numbers by then. Anyway, Super Bowl 58, San Francisco versus Kansas City in Las Vegas. The Kansas City Chiefs, as I looked yesterday, are still 2-point underdogs in this game. The over-under is 47.5. The money line for San Francisco is -125. For Kansas City is +105, and there's a ton of intrigue in this game. I mean, you've got San Francisco, who's really ran the NFC for the whole year, other than the few weeks that maybe Brock Purdy was concussed, maybe he wasn't. We don't know what happened on that little stretch of games they had where they weren't winning. And then you got Kansas City led by Patrick Mahomes, who have I feel like, I guess we can get into it, but I feel like Andy Reid is really putting himself in that elite head coach tier. It's really like Bill Belichick, I would say Shula, Walsh, Chuck Noll should probably be thrown in there somewhere. And Andy Reid's right there with him. The guys, he took the Eagles to 5 NFC championships. He's taken the Chiefs to 6 AFC championships and multiple Super Bowls, and he's got a couple of rings. I really think he has put himself up there with those guys to go into this game. And I know, Kyle, you may get into the numbers. I know all year you've talked about Kansas City's rush defense. Here come the 49ers with the best running back in the league, and a wide receiver who can run the ball like a great running back as well. And I'm guessing that's why they're favorites. But I don't know. Kyle, what are you thinking of this matchup, man?
There's really a lot that I've been thinking about this matchup. And when you have 2 weeks in between a game, the numbers at this point in the season, they don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
You could come out firing, you could come out sloppy, you could come out a bunch of different ways. I mean, to look at this game, and you have Kyle Shanahan, who's been to 2 Super Bowls as a head coach, and he's lost both of them. And you've got Andy Reid going into his 4th Super Bowl in the last 5 years, I believe it is.
That sounds right.
Something like that. He's won 2 of the 3 that he's been to so far. He took the Eagles to a Super Bowl and lost to
Mhm,
the Patriots.
mhm,
So I mean, you've got a lot of on one side of the ball. This is their 4th time in the Super Bowl in 5 years. You've got a lot of experience in the big game. And then you've got the 49ers who were there 4 or 5 years ago against the Chiefs. And that roster isn't like it was the last time they were in the Super Bowl. I
mhm.
mean, they're now on their 3rd quarterback. Jimmy G was the starter then. They moved on to Trey Lance, and now they're with Brock Purdy. So the experience for the 49ers isn't there.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be about how these teams come out firing, and really who makes the least amount of mistakes. And um, we'll see what happens on Sunday.
And it really feels like this matchup very well could have happened last year. If you remember, Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship was he hurt his elbow, and they were basically just had him out there to do handoffs. He could not throw anymore, and the Eagles took advantage of that and won the game and went on to the Super Bowl. And they had a hell of a game against the Chiefs last year, but it felt like these two teams were destined to meet each other in the game last year. And this year, they really, the 49ers were able to finish the job and get to the big game. As you said, Kyle Shanahan's already lost a Super Bowl as a head coach and as an offensive coordinator. He was a part of the 28-3 debacle against Corey's New England Patriots when he was the offensive coordinator with Atlanta, and I feel like Kyle Shanahan's done it with not really star quarterbacks. You got Patrick Mahomes, who seems to be the best player at his position right now, and it's hard to argue against that. Whereas Shanahan's been there with Matt Ryan, with Jimmy G, and now with Brock Purdy. It's just it's a meeting of the minds, and it's two of the best. I love Kyle Shanahan. He is my favorite coach in the NFL, but it's very hard to argue against Andy Reid in the history that you just laid out, Kyle. I mean, the guy's he's a legend. And there's whispers. I don't know how much I believe it or if it's just people thinking out loud, but there's whispers of him possibly walking away if they win this Super Bowl. I think it's more likely that, as we spoke of, I believe last week, we see a Travis Kelce or someone like that walk away rather than Andy Reid walk away while Mahomes is at his peak. Although we've seen it before, Cowher walked away when Big Ben was at his peak. You saw it with Mike Holmgren, Kyle, walk away with when Brett Favre was really at his peak. So it wouldn't be unprecedented.
I think Dungy did too with Peyton Manning.
Absolutely. Yep. Him with Peyton Manning. So it wouldn't be unprecedented, but I don't know. It would just be so difficult to walk away when you've got the prime of the best quarterback in the league. I don't know. Corey, what are you feeling on this one, man?
My favorite rumor mill right now is the reason that Bieniemy did not go back to Washington is he would be the coach in waiting if Andy Reid retired in 3 and 4 years. If I don't know, I've heard him on a couple of podcasts lately, and he's not going to be like, oh yeah, actually I'm thinking about retiring, but he just kind of just deflects the question, obviously, but like you've done almost everything now at this point. And if you get a third one in 4 years, I mean, there's only been a few coaches that have done that. So I don't know. As far as the game itself, I still think the San Francisco 49ers have a better team, period.
Overall, it's hard to argue with that. As I said, they have the best running back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they got the best everything. Like, it seems like, well, I mean, they have more of the best players in certain areas, I think. So, but then it's on the other side, it's just Patrick Mahomes, who is the new Tom Brady or the new Peyton Manning, whatever you want to say. So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, how many times did we count out Tom Brady? Oh, he's back, but he doesn't have Aaron Hernandez, or he's back, but he doesn't have insert white wide receiver that he was throwing to, and he just gets the job done. And I believe it was Julian Edelman on a podcast talking about it wasn't so much that we didn't want to let Bill down as we didn't want to let Tom Brady down because we know how hard he works to get to the spot where he's at. I mean, the guy was a 6th-round pick. He's the ultimate Cinderella story that went out on top, and he was the man. He's the GOAT. So it was more not really letting Tom Brady down as opposed to not letting Bill down.
Well, and there was I think Berman interviewed Patrick Mahomes and asked him about what he thought if he had watched any of the Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls when they had the dominant defenses. And Patrick Mahomes was like, yeah, actually I did. I studied those more because they have a pretty dominant defense right now, it looks like, in Kansas City. And all Tom Brady was doing in those in those games was making the certain drives. He wasn't being crazy. He wasn't the Tom Brady of his second part of his career or the third part of his.
Is he cutting out for you too, Kyle, or is it just me?
No, he's cutting out.
No.
Okay. We heard you talking to Tom about and Patrick going back to watch some of his and yeah, I mean, just like you said, the Chiefs have really. I said it at the start of the season. I think this is the Chiefs' the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had to go along with. He's really been carrying the show with him and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. But the defense, I mean, they just beat the Ravens 17-10. You don't do that without an excellent defensive performance. So and we all expected fireworks. It was actually, it hurt me in my pocket because I bet on that for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. I know Mahomes goes back and look. He's actually talks about your guy Matt Stafford and the arm angles and learning all those types of things as well. So he is a student of the game, and I've learned this week that I hate how much I'm starting to like Patrick Mahomes, whether it's the dad bod or him in interviews and just being a genuine guy. Like, there was even Chicago media asking him about Caleb Williams and Justin Fields and all of that stuff. And he gives you the politically correct answer, obviously, but I don't know. It's really hard for me to hate that guy. I don't know. This game there's been so much media coverage all week, talking about everything from, I don't know, from everything, from the coin flip to the I don't even know who's singing the national anthem this year. Do you guys know?
Reba.
Oh, see, some people bet on whether it goes over or not, and she likes to carry those notes out a little bit. Maybe if you can find that bet. But I was having trouble finding some of those bets. But as far as the game itself, it almost feels like, to me anyway, it's really been on the backdrop with all this other stuff going on around it. Hopefully the teams don't feel that way. But do you guys just want to get into the picks real quick, and then we'll talk about some of the prop bets, or is there anything else you want to talk about with the game itself?
I think they don't care, as the players don't. They're 40 miles away off the strip somewhere.
That's true.
So, I mean, you've heard players talk about the Super Bowl over and over, their experiences there. For the most part, all of these people they're in their head right now. It's the week of. I'm not saying every once in a while there's a stray that doesn't go out and do something stupid, but I think for the most part, these guys are locked in.
I think Kyle Shanahan was drunk at media night, though.
Yes, I agree with that.
If you looked at some of his interviews, which, I mean, good for him, take the edge off, but he probably took the edge off a little too hard. But, it did definitely look like he was enjoying himself.
Yeah. And he's probably got most of his game plan already down. Hopefully. I mean, he's had 2 weeks to prepare. And it's not like this is the first time he's ever went against the Chiefs. I mean, we had this exact same matchup just a few years ago. But as you said, Kyle, it's a completely different 49ers team now than it was then. I'm going to go first with my pick if you guys are cool with getting on into that.
Yep.
To me, as much as and you said it, Corey, San Francisco, the total team, the running back, the tight end, the wide receiver, the linebackers. I love Fred Warner, the D line. It seems like they have the total team, but to me, after watching Tom Brady for 20 years against all odds, and I'm getting points with Patrick Mahomes, I'm going Kansas City +2. I've already bet them on the money line because I was like, if it's +2, I might as well bet the money line. I just think Mahomes does enough to get over the top, and don't sleep on that defense. They have Nick Bolton might have an issue covering Kelsey, but I feel like they have enough to really shut down Kelsey, and hopefully Kansas City's receivers continue to catch the ball like they have in the playoffs, unlike we saw in the regular season. But I'm going Kansas City +2. If you're giving me Mahomes with points, I got to go with him. Corey, do you want to go, or do you want me to pitch to Kyle?
I'll go ahead and go. I mean, I went back and forth with this one, but I bet against Mahomes the entire year, and he has proved me wrong. Like I'm doing the same thing you are, +2. I'm just going to go ahead and take the money line at this point. And not to mention, for what it's worth, the Chiefs have a hell of a lot better kicker than the San Francisco 49ers do. And that might come into play. So
it's true. That's actually one of the prop bets is if there will be an extra point or a kick miss. Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, looking at this game, I mean, you're looking at two completely different teams. You got one team who, the jump of the season, they lost the opening game. And there was a lot of drops in that first game, and there was a lot of drops throughout the season for this team in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes threw the most interceptions in his career. He's only thrown 4 touchdowns in this postseason. So like Aaron said earlier, this defense is doing a lot of work for this Kansas City team. They've played 3 straight games in the playoffs. They finally had their rest week, and now they get ready for the number 1 seeded NFC team, who has only played 2 playoff games. When we look at the San Francisco 49ers, they are a team that when Deebo Samuel is on the field is very, very good. However, the past 2 weeks in the playoffs, their defense has looked very, very bad, giving up a lot of points to the Packers and to the Lions. You cannot go down by double digits on Patrick Mahomes and expect to come back and win that game. So, as much as I've went back and forth on this, I'm a lot like Kevin Costner on draft day, right? I've got the quarterback there right in front of me that I want to take, but I've got a note in my pocket. And it says 49ers no matter what. Give me the Niners -2.
Actually, yeah, now that we've got our picks in, I have actually bet both sides of this because I could not pick. My first pick. I'm
going to put $10 on this one and $10 on this
absolutely.
one. I'm going to be a winner no matter what.
I hedged my bets. My first bet was Kansas City money line, and I threw some parlays in with it to help me out to get a little extra on it. And then as the week went on, just like you guys were saying, I mean, it was 2 weeks between games, and all you're thinking about is all the situation. Oh, well, I really like this. And as you said all year long, Kyle, the rush defense of Kansas City has not been great. And we saw Baltimore get away from it, but I don't say even when they were down 24-7 to the Lions, the 49ers did not go away from the run. So they will not go away from them. They'll continue to pound the ball, whether even if they're getting 2 yards per carry. So I actually bet San Francisco -2. Threw in a Deebo Samuel touchdown and a Christian McCaffrey touchdown because I was like, if they win, these guys are going to score. I actually hedged my bets, but my official pick is Kansas City +2 because that was my first thought when I saw this line. And as I said last week, I was waiting on this line to move all week, and I think it moved down to 1 for a day or two, and then it jumped back up to 2. So it hasn't fluctuated as much as I expected. I halfway expected it to go up to Kansas City +3, because a lot of radio I've been listening to all week have been heavy on 49ers. Obviously, they talk about Mahomes and doing Mahomes things, but they look at the team overall and they look at San Fran. Corey, you're shaking down there. What's going on?
The projection for the Super Bowl alone is $23.1 billion will be bet on this. And the last number I seen was 82% of it was bet on Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, when
Or
Kansas City,
Kansas City. Yeah.
if Kansas City wins the Super Bowl, I was thinking about this before we got on the show. And as you see Patrick Mahomes holding the Lombardi trophy, you watch Travis Kelce get down on one knee and ask Taylor Swift for her hand in marriage.
Kyle's not here for this.
They go into the offseason and get married, and he hyphenates to Travis Swift Kelce. Imagine the jersey sales for all the Swifties out there to get a jersey with the name Swift on it. Right?
They had that chance a long time ago with what's his name?
I don't know.
Still playing, ain't he? Running back.
DeAndre Swift?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays for the Eagles.
Figured that out.
So then the Chiefs are going to have 2 guys on their team again that have hyphenated last names with Travis Swift Kelce and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
And Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Oh, MVS. And then Laurent Duvernay Tardif. Is that how you say it? Laurent?
Sure.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The doctor, he's an offensive lineman. He's going to come out of retirement and with his hyphenated last name, and he's going to play for the Chiefs too.
The Kansas City hyphens.
Mm.
Anyway, I thought of it today, and I was like, man, he would sell a lot of jerseys. He might come back for that just to sell his jersey with the hyphenated name on it. But Corey, you are looking up some fun little prop bets with the Super Bowl. We always like to look at these things because they, and I couldn't find a lot of them on DraftKings this year. The big one I was looking for was to bet on the coin toss because you win immediately or lose immediately with that. And I'm not saying throw 100 on it, but like throw five on it or something just to.
I got 5 on it.
That's right. Yeah. But the heads or tails, I found it on bet.us. That is a free plug for them. And it was minus 105. So you pay 5, you get 490 or 450 or something.
Did you hedge, Aaron? Did you put 5 on heads and 5 on tails?
To lose $1?
Maybe. but I did look.
There ain't gonna be a buyout for that one. I'm telling you right now.
I did look up on Wikipedia the fluctuation of heads versus tails, and last year was heads. The 2 years before that were both tails. So I was like 2 heads in a row, I think. But the longest streak was 5 heads in a row, and the longest streak for tails was 4. And it's happened a few times. So I was deep in the weeds on this one.
Please tell
favorites.
me that both of them were minus 105.
They were the same.
Because I would lose my shit if like the other one was like plus 136. Or something.
No, it was the same odds. Yeah, if you see a plus and it's a 50-50 shot, then something fishy is going on. But Corey, if you want to tell us some of your fun little prop bets surrounding the Super Bowl.
Well, this is not really fun, but it's the over-under is 47.5. I think, me personally, I think it's, that's very doable. I think it's doable. I'm actually going to take the over on that.
I think it's doable, but with both of these defenses, I mean, I guess San Fran hasn't really showed it, but with 2 weeks to prepare, and we haven't really seen the Chiefs' offense do what we expected the Chiefs' offense to do at the start of the year, I feel like it stays under. We're looking at like 24-20 or something in that. I want a close one. I definitely don't want a blowout like the Broncos and Seahawks that year.
that was
None of
tough.
that's ever fun. I don't
Like the Chiefs Buccaneers a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I have length of longest drive over under 77.5 yards.
Over. I would take the over on that. I mean, all you have to do is you get a punt. Let's say it's a touchback, and that's an 80-yard drive right there.
I thought they got it at the 25.
That's on kickoffs. On a punt, you get it at the 20. But if any team's going to put something over 77, it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, maybe they'll have another ball bounce off of a defensive back's face mask. I forgot that we didn't even bring all the talk we were talking last week of the NFC Championship. We didn't even talk about Kendall Vildor and his famous face mask where it bounced off of him, and Ayuk makes an amazing
catch. That was it. That was it. That was literally the change right there.
Yeah. Did you hear Ayuk after the game? He said he woke up this morning and a ladybug landed on his foot. So I don't know.
All right. But one that I've seen that I'm going to do these separately, but one that I've seen if you put them together, it's plus, I think, 340. But it's Chris Bosa over under sacks.
Dang, is that the third brother, Chris?
Or shit. I had Chris Jones and Joey, or shit, which Bosa is it?
Nick. It's Nick.
Nick Bosa. All right. Nick Bosa over under a quarter of a sack.
A quarter of a sack?
Quarter of a sack.
Why is the line that low?
Because after he only had two, he had two last week, but other than that, he ain't had one in like I don't know.
Yeah, but Joe Tooney is probably not playing.
He's out.
This game
I think he's out.
And that's their all pro guard. Which I mean, Bosa's not going to be lined up really against a guard or anything, but that takes away from their offensive line. So I mean, Bosa over a quarter of a sack, I like that.
Yeah. So you parlayed that with Chris Jones?
Yeah, so Chris Jones is also over under a quarter of a sack.
Oh man.
So if you put them together.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that line didn't move because of Joe Tooney, because I think they officially labeled him as out.
I know they had talked to, because the guard who replaced him is a Chicago native, so he's been on or they've talked about him on Chicago radio this week. But I think they had talked about Tooney being doubtful, like that was at the beginning of the week. So I don't see how he would be able to go. I mean, he'll still get a ring if they win, but that sucks for him. Play all season and then get hurt. He didn't play last week, the week before he got hurt, I believe, right?
Yeah. All right. The rushing yards for the running backs. CMC over under 91.5.
Ooh, that's a big number.
Just rushing, not total.
And I think, that one's kind of, I don't know what his rushing total was last week against Detroit, but I think they probably abandoned the run there because they were down. Actually, let me just look at CMC's his stat, because the Packers, they were down too. He had 98 against Green Bay and he had 90 against Detroit. So
I'm actually going to take the under on this. I think he might have some stellar receiving numbers, but
yeah, that would probably be a big part of the Chiefs' defense game plan, is try and limit Christian McCaffrey. I mean,
put it in Brock's hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But Brock Purdy made some plays last week that it was I think there was one throw that went in the middle of the field. I think Juszczyk pulled it down, but it was Brock should have been toast on that play.
That's another one I forgot. Kyle Juszczyk is over under a half a reception. I've already bet on that one.
Oh shit! If it's still there, I'm jumping all over that one.
Put a little salt and pepper on that one.
Half a reception. He's a big part of their off, and he's a hell of a receiver. Did you see him with the toe drag swag last week?
I I thought this was kind of weird, so I went ahead and put money on it too. Pacheco's rushing yards over under 66.5.
I think they're going to lean on him quite a bit. So
I
I
think
think I
he's
would
just going
go
to run
over.
over Chase Young. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. If Chase is not benched, who's their? I don't even know who their backup defensive end is.
I don't know. Here's a fun one. Time of the first possession.
Over
Over
3.5 minutes.
over under. I had 3:15.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say over.
I'm going to take the under because of nerves.
I don't know if the Chiefs get the ball first. I don't know how many nerves they'll have. I mean, even this week at media week, they just seem like they expect to be. Which they worked their ass off to get there, but it almost seemed like they expected to be there. They don't seem very nervous. Maybe Brock Purdy's nervous if they end up with the ball first. His first Super Bowl, Mr. Irrelevant. How often is that rolling through his head? But yeah, that's an interesting one. Depends
I
on who
think
gets the ball.
this one was pretty even, and I think I can't remember. I put money on a lot of bets already, but which will there be more of, field goals or touchdowns?
I would say field goals.
Really?
I think so. I think, like I said, like we've talked about both of these defenses, and as you get closer to that red zone and those zones, those throwing windows really start to close. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you expect him to make those throws, but I feel like these defenses in the red zone have a good shot of making them kick field goals. And both of these coaches, Andy Reid's been there before, and Kyle Shanahan blowing a 28-3 lead. I think he's going to take points every chance he gets down there, or try to at least.
Yeah. And then another fun one for me was which would be higher, gross yards of the first punt or the longest TD?
So it's
I would say longest touchdown.
Yeah, it's just if you think the 49ers are able to do what they did against the Lions toward the end with Ayuk, or Debo breaks a big one, or CMC.
But gross yards would be, if they're snapping from the 35 and the punter's punting from the 20,
Yeah,
it's not net yards, it's gross. So
Gross
they're
yards,
talking,
yeah.
so that's probably a
Gets a good bounce.
60, 70. Yeah, I mean,
the Chiefs have a great punter as well, Townsend. He's one of the
but
best.
it's the first punt though too. I mean,
You
you flip the field, and that's, I mean, because net yards would be from the line of scrimmage to wherever the returner returns it to.
Yeah.
Gross, I think, would just be from where they punt it to
where he catches it, or
where he catches it. Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to count from the line of scrimmage or from where he punts it, though.
I just thought it was interesting.
That is interesting.
And then the other one was most time of possession, period. So I got that one with Chiefs is what I got that one with.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, originally I was thinking 49ers because they lean on the run so much, but the Chiefs have really been using the run game a lot. We saw Rashee Rice kind of break out for them toward the end of the season. I think I guess it'd be, I can look it up, but Travis Kelce's numbers would be interesting because I'm interested in that matchup, the Fred Warner against Travis Kelce, or if they try and put a safety on him. That would be an interesting matchup. Kelce's receiving yards, or
that's I'm getting there. Another one that was fun, I tried to get it as fast as possible, was O lineman touchdown. It was like plus 3,000 or something. So I put
I think that's still pretty high up there.
I put like $4 to win like 150 or something like that.
Do these teams use their O line that much like that, or
I don't know, but I can see Shanahan doing something weird like that.
Putting Trent Williams in at fullback or something.
2 weeks to prepare, maybe.
Travis Travis Kelce over or under 70.5, with the over being minus 130 and the under being plus 100.
70.5.
Yeah.
So they definitely think he's going over that. It would just, I don't know, man. That's
Ooh, I like this one. Noah Gray over under 12.5. He's kind of like MVS where he catches like 2 for like 6 apiece or something. Or
I think Noah Gray could be sneaky for the first touchdown of the game too. I mean, if you're gonna take a long shot, I think Noah Gray or Kyle Juszczyk is a long shot for first touchdown of the game, and I guarantee you that they have big payouts for that.
Kyle Juszczyk is over under 4.5 yards. I'm going to parlay that with that over under reception.
Yeah, but I looked at he only had 14 catches this past year in the regular season.
Super Bowl, baby. All bets are off.
Yeah,
except for the ones we make.
Game of the year, you can't hold anything back.
The ones we make. I mean,
I think, I mean, if Matt Nagy gets his way, because he always liked those fancy plays in Chicago, at least he had Santa Slay and he gave Akeem Hicks a rush. He didn't call it the fridge. He called it, I don't remember what he called it, but it was basically like a throwback to Refrigerator Perry, which
the microwave,
the ice
the oven.
Yeah. Noah Gray to score anytime is plus 900. To score first plus 5,500.
Yeah,
that's a couple bucker right there.
That's a couple bucker.
I mean, anytime touchdown, I would be more willing to bet on that.
Is plus 1,100 to score. He's not the worst.
Is he even active? Is he going to be?
I don't know, but Sky Moore just got activated off of IR, so there's another one that could potentially be a first time. And I don't know if there's even any odds on that because they don't know if he's going to play. But he
plus
was
5,000.
Okay. So
I think Jerick McKinnon just got pulled off IR as well. They like to use him a lot in those, which, so those would be interesting odds. I don't know. I go with the favorites usually. I usually parlay a whole bunch of them.
We got for the Swifties, any quarter to have 22 plus points scored. Anti-hero Brock Purdy 250 plus passing yards and 2 plus tutties.
Yeah, I saw those on there too for the Swifties. What was I gonna say? Oh, the one I had to Google because it was like, will there be an octopus? I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I had to look at that too. So the octopus is the player scores a touchdown and they get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, because I was telling my wife, I was like, does this mean like, I was like, they're in Vegas. Why would they have an octopus? It's a water. It's a water animal. It doesn't.
Well, octopus got explained this year for the first time, I think, to a lot of people because there was like either 2 in one game or 2 back to back on one Sunday or something.
Oh,
I don't know, part of my take and like somebody on ESPN said it at the same time. Somebody was like, "What the hell does this mean?" Like,
yeah. I had to look it up. I know one of my. I seem to do it every week. I think Barstool put it up. There was a guy who bet $5 on like a 17-leg anytime touchdown scorer parlay and won like my yearly salary. So I tried that every week and failed every week.
They just put Portnoy just bet $500K on the Chiefs. It's all that Michigan winnings he's got.
Yeah,
right now.
He's got big Michigan winnings from their title, but they
listen. Let me tell you the prop bet that's guaranteed to hit. Okay. And you're only able to bet this in certain states. I Googled it. I looked it up because it's not a game. It's not determined by the game, but it's the Gatorade color, right? The Gatorade color this year at plus 350 is going to be red. And let me tell you why, right? Taylor Swift had an album released in 2012 titled Red. But wait, there's more. Travis Kelce is making $12 million this season. The studio album released in 2012. There's your 12. Travis Kelce's making $12 million this season. The only time Patrick Mahomes and Kelce have lost a Super Bowl, the other starting quarterback was wearing number 12. Taylor Swift has attended 12 Chief games this season. Patrick Mahomes wears 15. 1 + 5 is 6, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. 6 times 2 is 12. So that's why the Super Bowl Gatorade color will be red.
All right.
I feel like somehow COVID's going to happen again.
This is like the what was that Jim Carrey movie, the number 23, but it was the number 12 for Kyle. Where he just sees it everywhere. It's because of Rogers. He's seeing the 12s everywhere now.
Yeah. But actually, I'm seeing 10s.
Oh, that's Brady's Michigan number. Yeah.
Well, another fun fact for you: Andy Reid and the only quarterback Andy Reid has lost to in the Super Bowl is Tom Brady.
Yep.
12, and it was like 30 years apart.
Tom Brady wore number 12.
Oh, 12. That's why I said the other quarterback was 12 because Patrick.
And Mahomes you heard it here first on the 12-ounce curl route podcast.
Oh, I didn't even put that one in there. Oh man! Dang it! Oh man!
Well, now you got something to pull to put on our tiki-taki.
Oh, dang it!
I mean, if that's everything, we can just close this thing out.
Yeah. That's I think that's everything except for da 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 da. I don't know why I did that. Trivia time. This is what excites me. I spend about 20 minutes before the podcast putting together questions for you guys, and 12 is our number of the day. There's 3 of us. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I've got 4 questions. I just pulled that one out of my ass. I just pulled that one right out. I really did come up with 4 questions. I was only going to ask 3, but it played into it.
There you go.
These shouldn't be too difficult, especially with Aaron last week was just, he was dominating.
I was surprised.
Actually, wait a minute. Corey got 2 of the 3, but Aaron got the LaShawn McCoy one.
I got Ryan Suckup.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't pull that to put it up on our TikTok.
Here's the thing. We have a little bit of a downtime over the summer from the podcast, and I've got a lot of trivia that we could pull up on the tickety-tockety now. All right, so here we go. Speaking of 12, right? This quarterback wore number 12. His name's Tom Brady. Who, and these are all Super Bowl related too. All these questions are Super Bowl related. Who caught Tom Brady's final career Super Bowl touchdown pass? So his final Super Bowl touchdown. Who caught it from Tom Brady?
Scotty Miller.
No.
Who was a tight end in Tampa? It wasn't Kate Otten. Oh, Brait. Damn it.
I'm going to go Mike Evans.
Okay. It was not a tight end. That's hint number 1. Hint number 2 is he played with Brady in New England.
Oh, shit.
Was it Gronk?
He was not a tight end.
Oh, he wasn't a tight end. He was a unicorn.
Leonard Fournette.
No, he was a wide receiver, though.
Oh, shit.
A wide receiver that played with him in
I don't remember who brought over.
It wasn't.
Damn it. I don't remember who they brought over.
The season after he had he quit.
Was that
he quit? He was
AB?
He took off his shirt. It was Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
It was Antonio Brown. AB caught Tom Brady's final touchdown.
And I've been trying to wipe him from my memory. So
that's crazy.
Well, there you go. He's back.
If you want an entertaining Twitter follow, Corey, if you ever get on the platform, AB is definitely one of them. There was a picture put up of him standing with Big Ben, and he was like, "Man, I miss that honky or cracker or something like." And I was like, "Just I don't want."
I don't know how Vontaze Burfict still hasn't been charged with assault.
What's crazy, shameless plug for Vontaze Burfict, is he is now actually going live on TikTok, and he's playing people in Madden. and it's great to watch. He's wrecking people in Madden. So that's a fun one right there.
Not to continue to go off on other tangents, but did you guys see Jameis Winston talking about Madden? He was on a podcast. I think he was on a Barstool podcast, and he was like, man, it's so hard on there. Like he was talking about how hard it was, and I was like, he's an NFL quarterback. He should be able to read these defenses. I mean, I guess it's a video game, but
he's probably busy playing Grand Theft Auto and going out and stealing crab legs.
He said he liked the NCAA a lot better. He's ready. Which I'm ready for that to come back to hit the recruiting trail. But go ahead, Cal.
Question 2.
Question number 2. Which 3 starting quarterbacks did not play for their team the year after winning the Super Bowl? So they won the Super Bowl. Then the following year, they were not the starting quarterback for that same team.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning retired.
Kurt Warner?
Nope.
Weren't the starter the year after winning. After winning or playing in the Super Bowl?
After winning the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady with the Patriots?
Nope.
Nick Foles.
Not Nick Foles. He was back with the Eagles the next year. One of the other quarterbacks retired. One of the other quarterbacks became a backup for another organization.
Huh. Another guy who retired after winning the Super Bowl. Oh, I know Peyton did. It wasn't Tom Brady. No, because he went back to the Buccaneers and lost in the playoffs. Is it?
I feel like this is recent.
Yeah, I feel like it's recent.
They weren't actually. These were 25 years ago.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Maybe.
No.
Boomer Esiason? No, he didn't.
One of the other quarterbacks. You're in the same. You're in the right organization with Peyton Manning.
Drew Bledsoe? No, you said 25 years ago. Was he that old? No.
I said the right organization with Peyton Manning. I don't know when Peyton
Well, who? John Elway.
John Elway's one.
So shit! I thought he retired.
John Elway.
That's
okay. That's right. Shit.
But this other quarterback won, and then the next year was a backup quarterback behind Matt Hasselbeck in Seattle. Some would consider the defense he had with him the greatest defense of all time.
Russell Wilson? No.
Was it Big Bad Brad?
It was not Big Bad Brad. Big Bad Brad returned to Tampa.
Yeah.
I feel like he was just on a podcast.
Was Trent Dilfer a backup after?
It was Trent Dilfer.
Oh. I didn't realize I guess I didn't think of it. I just thought he rode off into the sunset after winning that Super Bowl.
So Patrick Mahomes has a chance to become the 4th quarterback. If he wins one this year with the Chiefs and then retires, he would be the 4th quarterback to do that.
He's not retiring. Someone asked him about him with Tom Brady this year at the media days, and he was like, I'm not even halfway to his Super Bowls. Like, he's like, I'm not even thinking of that. Like, the media thinks of shit that doesn't even these players don't.
Yeah, but this is what happened with Brady though. Brady won 3 early in his career, took about a 10-year hiatus, and then won 3 more, then left New England and won another one. So,
it's doable.
All right, question 3: Who has thrown the most interceptions in a single Super Bowl?
Brett Favre.
It was not Brett Favre.
Wow.
Big Ben.
It's not Big Ben.
Russell Wilson.
Nope.
Cam Newton.
Russell Wilson.
Cam
Newton. Not Cam Newton.
Damn it.
Here's a hint. Here's a hint I'll give you on this one.
Peyton Manning?
No. It was a very one-sided game. The defense won this one. I think the defense had 2 pick sixes in this game. And we've actually had the Super Bowl winning quarterback from this game on our podcast.
Oh.
So who
Rich
did he
Gannon.
play? Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon holds the record for most interceptions thrown in a single Super Bowl, and I think it was like 5 or 6. It was 5.
I don't think they allowed Peyton to play that game the rest of the way. Basically,
That's
I
why,
thought for sure it was Peyton.
Seattle was blowing them out.
Yeah. Final one. We talked about Tom Brady. We talked about the number 12. While Tom Brady holds the record for most career passing touchdowns in the Super Bowl, I think he has 21 or something like that. Which player holds the record for most passing touchdowns in a single Super Bowl with 6? His wide receiver holds the record also for most receiving touchdowns in a game with 3.
Someone threw 6 touchdowns in the Super Bowl? Was it a long time ago?
Yeah, about 30 years ago.
The Cowboys blew out the Bills. Was it Troy Aikman? No. Okay. I'm trying to think of blowouts from the 90s.
No, that wasn't a blowout.
Joe Montana?
It was not Joe Montana.
Steve Young.
It was Steve Young. Yep.
4 for 4.
Young. That was a Super Bowl quarterback. Super Bowl quarterback trivia, because Sunday we're going to see a quarterback be the MVP of the Super Bowl, and it's gonna be pretty Purdy, Brock Purdy.
We'll see about that.
I think if the Niners win, well, they give it to the quarterback, because we saw when Patrick Mahomes won his, it should have went to their running back. I can't even remember who was playing for them that year.
Damian Williams.
Yeah, that one. I was like, man, why didn't he get it? But,
Brady gave all of his crap twice away. He gave one time to Julian Edelman, and another time it was either Malcolm Butler or.
No, I don't think Malcolm Butler was ever, but they did have KJ from Seattle.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, when he won his MVPs, he gave the person it should have been the truck and the money.
Hopefully Vinatieri.
I think originally he kept it, all that stuff. I'm talking about the second set. Julian Edelman got all the shit one time, and I think Malcolm Butler got the.
Well, who won the MVP, the Super Bowl MVP the year the Rams and Patriots played? It was Julian Edelman. Caught 10 for 141.
Yeah.
Went absolutely off. Old Julian.
Because he had a catch. He had a catch, like the other catches.
No, the big catch he had in the Super Bowl for Julian Edelman was against the Falcons, where he caught it like when it was basically on the ground.
Yeah. That was part of the big comeback. Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Brady's won 5 Super Bowl MVPs. So Edelman won it the year against the Rams. Where was his other? Because Brady has 7 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah, he's got the one in.
He had another wide receiver in 2025 win it.
Next year?
2005. Yeah, Brady's coming out of retirement.
Shit, let's go.
2005. He's coming out of retirement for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Actually, it's the Falcons. But no, in 2005, he had a receiver win Super Bowl MVP. Do you want to take a guess?
Troy Brown.
That's what I would have guessed, but it was not Troy Brown.
Was Wes Welker there at that time? No.
I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure this wide receiver also played in Seattle. He did. Yeah, he did play in Seattle. Then came back to New England.
Corey's squad.
Yeah, I thought it was Troy Brown that won that MVP.
Whoa! Elves down. He was the head coach for them in 2022.
Was it? Oh shit! Who was their coach last year? I know they have Brom now. Oh, Satterfield. No. Was it Satterfield? Scott Satterfield was their head coach.
Scott Satterfield left, and then they had this former NFL wide receiver serve as an interim head coach, and he won the Fenway Bowl.
Oh, shit.
A one-time only appearance as a head coach for this player.
I have no idea.
We don't keep up with Louisville bowl games.
This Deion's career coaching record is better than Deion Sanders.
Oh, Deion Branch.
Deion Branch.
Wow.
I didn't know that he coached.
I didn't know he went to Seattle.
Louisville. Yeah, he got traded to Seattle, and then
I knew he went to Louisville. I just didn't know he coached later on there.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if he went with Satterfield up to Cincinnati now.
What's wild to me is the Patriots traded Branch to the Seahawks for a first-round selection in 2007, and then in 2010, Deion Branch was traded back to the Patriots for a fourth-round pick. They always go somewhere else and then come back to New England for way cheap. It's wild.
It's the Patriot way.
It's the Patriot way.
Oh. We'll see if the Patriot way continues under Gerard Mayo. But anyway, unless there's anything else, we'll just I'll wrap this thing on up. All right, like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Subscribe to Daily Football Roundups YouTube and give us a like. You can comment in the comment section if you're here live. We are live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't catch us live, you can catch us the day after on your Spotify app or the iHeartRadio app. And if you do listen via podcast, please leave us a review, 5 stars. We would greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, until next week, Corey, go ahead and tell them.
Bye.